Today we will study about large intestine. The large intestine, also known as the large bowel, it is the last part of the gastrointestinal tract and of digestive system in tetrapods. Water is absorbed here and the remaining waste material is stored in the rectum as feces before being removed by defecation. The colon is the largest portion of the large intestine, and the terms are often used interchangeably. But most sources define the large intestine as the combination of the cecum, colon, rectum, and the anal canal. Large intestine is a part of gastrointestinal tract system, digestive system, arteries, superior mesenteric, inferior mesenteric, and iliac arteries, veins, superior and inferior mesenteric vein, lymph, inferior mesenteric lymph nodes. In humans, the large intestine begins in the right iliac region of the pelvis, just at or below the wrist, where it is joined to the end of the small intestine at the cecum via the ileocecal valve. It then continues as the colon, ascending the abdominal across the width of the abdominal cavity as the transverse colon, and then descending colon to the rectum, and it end points at the anal canal. In humans, the large intestine is about 1.5 meters, that is 5 feet long, which is about one fifth of the whole length of the human gastrointestinal tract. Structure. The colon of the large intestine is the last part of the digestive system. It has a segmented appearance due to a series of sacrals called hustras. It extracts water and salts from solid waste before they are eliminated from the body, and is the site in which the fermentation of unabsorbed material by the gut microbes occur. Unlike the small intestine, the colon does not play a major role in absorption of foods and nutrients. About 1.5 liters or 45 ounces of water arrives in the colon each day. The colon is the largest part of the large intestine, and its average length in the adult human is 65 inches or 166 centimeters, range of 80 to 313 centimeters for males, and 61 inches or 155 centimeters, range of 80 to 214 centimeters in females. In mammals, the large intestine consists of the cecum, including the appendix, colon, the largest part, rectum, and the anal canal. Figure showing the inner diameters of the colon sections of the large intestine. Four sections of the colon are the ascending colon, transverse colon, descending colon, and a sigmoid colon. These sections turn at the celiac fissures. The parts of the colon are either interperineal or behind it is the retroperineal. Retroperineal organs in general do not have a complete covering of peritoneum, so they are fixed in the location. Intraperitoneal organs are completely surrounded by peritoneum and are therefore mobile. Of the colon, the ascending colon, descending colon, and rectum are retroperineal, while the cecum, appendix, transverse colon, and sigmoid colon are intraperitoneal. This is important as it affects which organ can be easily assisted during surgery, such as a laparoscopy. In terms of diameter, the sacrum is the widest, averaging slightly less than 9 centimeters in healthy individuals, and the transverse colon averages less than 6 centimeters in diameter. The descending and sigmoid colon are slightly smaller, with the sigmoid colon averaging 4 to 5 centimeters in diameter. Diameter larger than certain thresholds for each chronic section can be diagnostic for megacolon. Part of the large intestine is cecum and appendix. The cecum is the first section of the large intestine and is involved in digestion, while the appendix, which develops embryogenically from it, it is not involved in digestion and is considered to be a part of the gut associated lymphoid tissue. The functions of the appendix is uncertain, but some sources believe that it has a role in harshening a simple of the gut microbes and is able to help the retroplate the colon with the microbes depleted during the course of an immunoreaction. The appendix has also been shown to be have a high concentration of lymphatic cells. The second part of the large intestine is ascending colon. The ascending colon is the first of the four main sections of the large intestine. It is connected to the small intestine by a section of bowel called the cecum. The ascending colon runs upward through the abdominal cavity towards the transverse colon for approximately 8 inches, that is 20 centimeters. One of the main function of the colon is to remove the waste, the water and other key nutrients from waste materials and recycle it. As the waste material exits the small intestine through the ileocecal valve, it will move into the cecum and then to the ascending colon, where this process of excretion starts. The waste material is pumped upwards towards the transverse colon by peristalsis. The ascending colon is sometimes attached to the appendix via Grill's valve. In remotes, the ascending colon is known as spiral colon. Taking into account all ages and all sexes, colon cancer occurs here more often, 40% chances. Colon. The transverse colon is a part of the colon from the hepatic flexure, also known as the right celiac in fissure, also known as the left colic. The turn of the colon by the spleen. The stomach, attached to it by a large fold of peritoneum called the greater omentum. On the posterior side, the transverse colon is connected to the posterior abdominal wall by a mesentery, known as transverse mesocolon. The transverse colon is encased in the peritoneum and is therefore mobile, unlike the part of the colon immediately before and after it. The proximal two-thirds of the transverse colon is perfused by the middle colon artery, a branch of the superior mesenteric artery, while the later third is supplied by branches of inferior mesenteric arteries. The washed area between these two blood supplies, which represents the embryonic division between the midgut and hindgut, is an area sensitive to ischemia. Descending colon. The descending colon is a part of the colon from the splenic flexure to the beginning of the sigmoid colon. One function of the descending colon in the digestive system is to store feces that will be emptied into the rectum. It is retroperitoneal in two-thirds of the humans. In the other third, it has a usual start, mesentery. The descending colon is also called the distilled gut, as it is further along the gastrointestinal tract than the proximal gut. Gut flows are very dense in this region. The sigmoid colon is a part of the large intestine after the descending colon and before the rectum. The name sigmoid means S-shaped. Sigmoid sinuses. The sigmoid colon are muscular and contract to increase the pressure inside the colon, causing the stool to move into the rectum. The sigmoid colon is supplied with the blood from several branches, usually between 2 and 6 of the sigmoid arteries. A branch of the inferior mesenteric artery terminates as the superior rectal artery. Sigmoidoscopy is a common diagnostic technique used to examine the sigmoid colon. Rectum. The rectum is the last section of the large intestine. It holds the formed feces awaiting elimination via defecation. It is about 12 centimeters long. The cecum, the first part of the large intestine, tinea colic, three bonds of the smooth muscles, harsha, bulge caused by the contraction of the tinea colic. Small fat accumulation on the viscerals. Intestine because the tinea colic are shorter than the large bowels itself. The colon becomes secreted, forming the stress of the colon, which are self-linked intra projections. Arterial blood supply to the colon comes from the branches of the superior mesenteric artery and the inferior mesenteric artery. Flow below these two systems communicates via the marginal arteries of the colon that runs parallel to the colon for its entire length. Historically, a structure variously identified as the ring of moderating mesenteric artery was through the connect the proximal superior mesenteric artery through the proximal inferior mesenteric artery. This variable present structure would be important if either vessels were occluded. Venous drainage usually mirrors colonic arterial supply, with the inferior mesenteric vein draining into the sphenic vein and the superior mesenteric joining the sphenic vein to form the hepatoportal vein that then enters the liver. Middle rectal vein are an exception, delivering blood to inferior vena cava and bypassing the liver. Lymph drainage. Lymphatic drainage from the ascending colon and proximal two-thirds of the transverse colon is to the idiocolic lymph nodes and the superior mesenteric lymph nodes, while drains into the cisternae chili. The lymph from the distal one third of the transverse colon, the descending colon, the sigmoid colon, and the upper rectal rectum drain into the inferior mesenteric and celiac lymph nodes. Come to the anal canal above the pincer line drains to the internal iliac nodes. The anal canal below the Prichal line drains into the superior lingual nodes. The Prichal line only roughly marks three transition. Supply. Superior and inferior mesenteric ganglia. Parasympathetic supply. Vagus and sacral plexus. S2, S4. Functions of the large intestine. The large intestine primarily functions is to absorb water and electrolyte from undigested food waste, forming stool and then eliminating it from the body. It also plays a role in producing and absorbing certain vitamins through the action of gut microbes. Electrolyte absorption. The large intestine absorbs the remaining water and electrolyte that haven't been absorbed by the small intestine, solidifying the waste material into stool. And eliminations. The large intestine forms stores and eventually eliminates the solid waste feces through the rectum and anus. Bacteria in the large intestine can produce vitamins like vitamin K, biotin, which can be absorbed by the body. Chemical digestion. While the large intestine does not produce its own digestive enzymes, it houses gut microbes that can perform chemical digestion of some food components.